I'm going to write a fanfic about how these rules are confusing.
It's a physical manifestation of the algorithm that inverts time.
The thing that doesn't make sense to me is why is he shooting?
The grandfather paradox is a theoretical time travel paradox that describes what happens if someone travels back in time and kills their grandfather.
I mean, that's some serious mama bear instinct. That's too much mama bear instinct.
Cat gets super selfish. She shoots him early.
So here in the background, we see the inverter, that green arrow there. And if this works the way I think it works, then this thing is an absolute death machine. So can we play the video a little bit? What does she say?
You'll need your own air. Regular air won't pass through the membranes of inverted lungs. Don't come into contact with your forward self. It's the whole point of these barriers and protective suits.
Oh, we don't have time.
Well, if your particles come into contact...
What?
Annihilation. When you exit the airlock, take a moment.
So she says that if you encounter yourself, you cannot touch yourself because your particles will annihilate, which makes me think that this thing is converting matter into antimatter. So you have like that red room in the background there, and that's like normal space, that's matter space. And you go around, you go in this turnstile, and you come out of the blue room, and this is now antimatter. But if that is true, then this thing should be radioactively like glowing. Not like glowing like if your eyes glowing, but if you were to bring like a Geiger counter over, this thing would be glowing like crazy. And the reason I say that is there's no like air filter. There's nothing stopping air from transferring back and forth when the thing rotates, which means we should get the matter from the red room and the antimatter from the blue room interacting, causing annihilation events. And so if we had, go ahead.
You're saying at this window, okay, so on the other side of this window is the red room, and there's regular matter.
Okay.
And on the other side of on this side, it's blue, and that's antimatter, assuming that's what happens.
Yep.
Then say at this window pane right here, there's matter on this side, antimatter on this side. They're interacting with each other. There should be huge annihilation events on this window pane.
So all the electrons and the positrons, the protons, the antiprotons, and the neutrons and the antineutrons, they should all be annihilating. So they should be colliding and then shooting out photons, so additionally some kinetic energy. This thing should be just physically hot. And then also there's gamma rays blasting it everywhere. So this thing should be like easily detectable by any radiological detectors, any dosimeters, right?
I want to say it's even worse than that, because not only would you have the annihilation events, which cause the gamma rays, which then what you're saying, the gamma rays hit other particles and cause all kinds of nuclear decay, which then causes particles. But also, I think the rate of annihilation events would be so high that the temperature would spike up so much that this would just melt and get destroyed.
Because we have matter-antimatter particle colliders, but there's really not a lot of mass. No. This would be a macro scaled mass. Like this is a lot of mass. This should be, that window should melt.
Yeah. In fact, when astronomers are looking for antimatter in the universe, they want to look for these like sheets of events where it's like gamma rays happening, where the antimatter and matter are hitting each other. And these are like 1 particle per square meter. And they have these massive events. Here we've got huge numbers of particles colliding. It would be...
I mean, we have Avogadro numbers of particles, 10 to the 23rd.
Right. That many events?
Yep.
This thing should be a death machine.
Everyone's getting cancer. they're not going to get. They're going to die much faster than that.
Right. Which I think the conclusion must be that it's not an antimatter converter.
Okay, but then she says that you can't come in contact with yourself because you would annihilate.
Yep.
Moment to orient yourself. Things will...
That's the wrong... That's not right.
Earlier, yeah.
Come into contact with your forward self. It's the whole point of these barriers and protective suits.
Oh, we don't have time.
Well, if your particles come into contact...
What?
Annihilation.
So that sounds like you just can't come into physical contact with yourself. But you can have a barrier or a suit on, and then you can like hug, you can like touch yourself you can touch your antimatter self, and it's okay as long as you have like a thin latex layer separating you.
So somehow
put on a gimp suit and they're fine. You go hug yourself. Like, what is this?
Somehow the inverted matter and regular matter interacting don't annihilate, but if it's the same matter and inverted matter colliding, then there's an annihilation event. And you get destroyed unless you have a body condom on. And then inverted matter doesn't come in contact with matter, and you're safe.
Yep, I guess that's right. Always use protection
Always use protection
when
fighting
encountering yourself. Yep.
Yep. Which limits the possibilities when you're talking about inversion.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, if you can't go, let's say.
Oh yeah, what would I?
this-
Okay, yeah. What would you? Okay, what has previous soldiers done? Why did she know this rule? I mean,
Yeah.
that's exactly what happened, right?
Yeah, so you know what happened? She went back, found herself, and was like, "Hey, do you want to?
What's up? What's up? What's up, self?
What's up? What's up?"
What's up?
She's
What's up?
like,
You
"Is
doing
it?
something right now? What's up?
Yeah. Is it cheating? Is it?
No. I mean, right? It's yourself.
Yeah. We need to add a letter to LGBTQIA
The S for self.
for self, inverted self,
PSU, parallel self universe. Parallel universe self, PUS.
PUS. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Think of the possibilities.
I'm going to write a fanfic right now.
Right now.
I'm going to write a fanfic about how these rules are confusing. What are the rules in this? Okay, throws down a lighter, fire spreads. Window explosion. Cool entropy, sucks up. And it gets cold.
Heat transfer was reversed. It might be the first case of hypothermia from a gasoline explosion in history.
Super cool idea. The idea of like an explosion happens, and instead of the energy getting out, going out, getting hot, the entropy is reversed and then gets sucked in. So instead of burning, he gets frozen. Super cool idea, but it's not consistent. So there's an explosion, sure, and then as time's going on, it gets sucked in. That's great.
Yep.
That's some type of statement of like we're going to a lower macro state. We're going to instead of things exploding outward, it gets sucked in.
Yep.
But I think that is in direct contrast with the beginning of this clip.
Yep.
The beginning of this clip, the bad guy throws this lighter down, and that fire go all the way to the beginning.
All the way to the beginning.
All the way to the beginning. So little fire,
Yep.
and then it's
More fire.
spreading out towards us. So that's the gasoline combusting, which is an exothermic process in the normal world. But if
Right.
we're really saying that exothermic processes no longer generate heat, they no longer, combustion doesn't work like this anymore. It should be cooling down. So in this scene, we have like forward time reactions followed up by negative time reaction. It's inconsistent.
So my thought is the thing that catches fire here is actually normal matter. So the road and is all normal matter. But wait, no, the gasoline, it's all normal matter, right? The only thing that's inverted is protagonist.
So did he blow up in the car?
So everything should be normal,
Including?
everything excluding protagonist. Protagonist should cool down.
Yeah.
But the car,
But then this fire
the
should still
gasoline,
happen.
then the fire should happen in forward time as an exothermic reaction. The only thing that should feel endothermic reactions is protagonist. The car, everything else is not inverted.
Okay,
They didn't send the car through, did they?
Right. So if those are the rules that only something that goes through the turnstile gets inverted, which means only in this case it would be protagonist and his clothing, whatever, then this combustion happens, right? Explosion, but then the window's freezing.
Right, the window's freezing. And that's freezing on normal car, not an inverted car, which that doesn't make sense. So it should be protagonist who's sort of stuck in the car. Where is he? Right here. He's stuck in the car. He's inverted. So he should get cold, but this window in front of him should
be fine. Oh, it should be not fine. It should be normally burning.
Yeah.
Weird.
So
inconsistent. What are the rules?
What are the rules? Yeah. And this explosion here, where it does this like inverted suck-in,
Shouldn't do that.
that is normal air. So it should be exploding
Normal air
normally.
with normal gasoline vapors. It should be
That's right.
a normal explosion, normal fire.
Right. So for me, I forgave them for things like this in the movie because it's a time travel movie. It's really hard. But it does feel, now that you're pointing it out, this scene needed a little more research. Dial this in a little bit more.
If they had dialed this in a little bit more, this would be just mind-boggling. Like, how did this happen? Instead,
Right.
it feels like science snippet. Like an explosion is reversed. So they have an explosion, then they reverse it. Which video graphics, like CG, super cool. Yeah, it's super cool and it's interesting. But also, it's not consistent because there's still the bottom that's on fire. Why isn't that bottom part right where the window is? Why is that still on fire?
Oh, yeah. So, from what I understand, Christopher Nolan, the director of this movie, doesn't like to use computer graphics. So this is all practical. Maybe the fact that he doesn't want to use computer graphics limited his ability to show inverted time.
I would imagine so, because how can you make anything inverted time in reality? Because we live in forward time.
Right, I guess, can you film it forward in time and then make it reverse? Like
right. So I think that's what they did in the previous clip when protagonist steps in the water. You just film it forward, and then the guy's walking backwards. Right. So then you play it when you play it in reverse, and now the person's walking forwards. They step in the pedal. Right? They step in the puddle. But that's hard to do with fire because you don't get control over your leg.
That's right.
I mean, you can control your leg. You don't get control over the fire. The fire's going to burn.
Right. Once you set it off, it's going, and it's going to go the way it wants. But actually, now that I think about it, they should have set the fire off forward in time and reversed it, because it's only protagonist who should be cold. So if you just reverse the explosion, it should be okay in terms of what's happening, right? But then we see,
yeah. So if this scene had been dialed in and every aspect of this thought through, this would be just a mind-boggling, fascinating scene.
Yeah.
It would be incredible.
Yeah.
But it's hard, and so it took me out of it. It took me out of the movie because now I don't understand. Like, what are the rules of this world? Like, what are we doing here? In which case, I'm just waiting for the chase scene to be over. Like, okay, waiting for the good guy to win. Done.
I guess, I was a little more forgiving because I'm like, time travel, it's weird. But now that we're doing a more deeper analysis, I see these problems.
I guess it would be analogous to if in Back to the Future, there's time traveling, and then they're like, you can't kill your grandfather because then you won't be born. But your grandmother, go ahead. Like, wait, what? I thought you need both of them. What are the rules here?
Or maybe your grandmother isn't your grandmother.
You can kill every woman in the world except you can kill every woman in the world, but keep your grandfather around. It's like, what? Like, that doesn't make sense.
That doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Weird.
So in this movie, there's a MacGuffin, and a MacGuffin is the object that the protagonists chase throughout the movie. And in this case, it's a physical manifestation of the algorithm that inverts time. Does that make sense? Let's take a look.
What's the algorithm?
241 is one section of it. 1 out of 9. Formula. Rendered into physical forms.
A formula rendered into physical form. Does that mean, like, if I'm doing F equals MA, it's like F is a triangle, equals is a square, M is a 2 parallel lines, and I've just made it. Is that what that means? Like, pretty basic stuff?
So I thought two things. So first of all, is it possible to make an equation into physical representation? And I think so. So for example, like balancing scales is literally a torque equation. Like you're like one torque makes it go this way, another torque makes it go this way, and when it's balanced, you get an equal. So I think it's totally legit to have an equation manifested in a physical form. The other way I interpret this was, it's like a key. Gosh, like this. You imagine you have a door that can only open when you have the correct things there.
Okay.
And like the correct things is the formula for this door, I guess.
Okay. And we're not talking about, like, if I write something on a chalkboard and I physically make the chalk go on the chalkboard, right? That's physically writing, because
It's physically writing, but you could have written anything.
Yeah, it's not quite what we mean. We mean like 3D objects are somehow representing. So like lock and key is a good example.
I guess I'm imagining like Indiana Jones. So you have like a wall with a bunch of buttons on it. And so you have, if your equation, that the key for this locks, like you have to press them in the right order.
Yeah.
That would also be an equation of sorts, like something that's physically manifested, like the sequence is there. And so in this instance, I think Neil is saying you don't have to have the plutonium-241 in order to unlock whatever the thing is that they need to unlock.
Mm-hmm.
I guess.
So it can't be copied or communicated. Black box, one function. Which is inversion, not objects or peoples, the world around us. As they invert the entropy of more and more objects, the two directions of time becoming more intertwined. Because the environment's entropy flows in our direction, we dominate. They're always swimming upstream. What saved your life? Inverted explosion was pushing against the environment. Pissing in the wind. When the invert...
Wait. That means the car was inverted.
Oh yeah, because he said the explosion was inverted and it was going against the wind of everyone else, which is forward time.
That means in order to get the car to be inverted, they had to drive that sucker into the inverter, turn it around. That means
that's right.
I don't think it was big enough. That means
there are other inverters around the world.
Right. But just this one, we're looking up here.
Yeah.
Right here. I don't think there's enough space for a sedan.
I don't think so.
In here.
Which
so that means
maybe there's another inverter somewhere else in the world that's big.
Right. And they drove that car. Yeah, that's like industrial strength.
Then they like shipped it across in a boat. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe helicoptered it in or something.
And he's also saying that so entropy for the world is going one way. And there's like little like bullets and things going the other direction, coming back from the future. And somehow the algorithm will be able to turn around the future and it'll like collide. And is that what they're saying?
I think what he's saying is most everything is going in this forward time. There's like a few items like bullets or now protagonists going backwards. And the algorithm can turn all the world and the rest of the world into backwards, and then it'll collide with the rest of the world and now die.
I think that's right. And so that's what this is. This is his left hand is the world coming back from the future. That's the reverse entropy. And his right hand is the world as it is today. And with the hand, it's equal numbers of matter going forward and backwards. But so that would create annihilation.
I guess.
Okay.
Direction, we dominate. They're always swimming upstream. What saved your life? Inverted explosion was pushing against the environment. Pissing in the wind. When they invert the entropy of the world.
If that happens,
everyone and everything that's ever lived, destroyed instantly. Precise enough?
including my son.
Okay. Lady. He said the entire universe would be destroyed. And she's like, my son! It's like, yes, your son is included in that.
But clear character motivation for her. That's good, right? Yeah. She's like thinking about her kid. But also, her kid's a part of everyone else too, right? Like the whole universe is dead. She's like, my son's the only thing that matters. Like,
only thing that matters. Like, how much perspective have you lost about your son where it's like, the world will come to an end, but my son will die then too. But what about all the other sons and daughters in the world?
He says, didn't he say the universe will end? Is she expecting her son to exist outside of the universe?
Everyone and everything that's ever lived, destroyed instantly. Precise enough?
Even if it's not the whole universe, everyone that has ever lived and ever will live, like, she want her son to be alive and lonely? Like, that's worse.
Right. Right. The implication of her saying like and my son too means like, if I could save my son but sacrifice everybody else and he existed, then I'd be okay.
All right. I mean, that's some serious mama bear instinct. That's too much mama bear instinct.
He's like in total desolation. It's just him.
But he's alive.
Existing.
But he's alive.
He's alive. I saved
no society. There's not even grains of sand exist around him. Like, but he's alive.
Yeah.
Lady. Perspective.
Lady. Yeah, and here's the algorithm. Not what I was expecting.
Yep. Basically a stick.
A stick with some shapes.
Yep.
And they like take it apart. And somehow this is like the F equals, and this is like MA, and this is, I don't know, the additional stuff. I didn't pick a long enough equation to do that with.
Well, you did. You just F is one of them is M, one of them is A, one of them is F, and the equals that they can plug into each other.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, but they just plug into each other. Like it's like quick connect. Like pop them and twist, and they're done.
Yeah.
It's not even like a
connect.
screw. It's like you might get different threads. It's just a pop twist.
Yeah. I assume that they have to be like they can only be interlocked one way. It's not like they can mix and match, because then you're like, M equals F over A. You're like, that's not
wrong equation.
Wrong equation. Well, you didn't put it in the right order, but this was supposed to be a physical manifestation of the equation. So it has to. It's only one-way lock.
I guess.
Must be.
I guess.
It must
Yes.
be. It must be. Okay. Must be.
I don't know. Whatever it is.
And then here is Neil falling asleep talking about the grandfather paradox.
We're their ancestors. If they destroy us, won't that destroy them?
Bring us to the grandfather paradox.
For what?
You went back in time and killed your own grandfather. How could you have been born to commit the act?
What's the answer?
No answer. It's a paradox. But in the future, those in power clearly believe you can kick grandpa downstairs, gouge his eyes out, slit his throat without consequence.
That's reversing the flow of time. Doesn't us being here now mean it never happened? But we stopped them.
Optimistically, I'd say that's right.
Pessimistically?
In a parallel worlds theory, we can't know the relationship between consciousness and multiple realities.
Okay. Well, let's the grandfather paradox.
Can we look at that up first before
Yeah,
we talk
let's
about
look at
it?
the grandfather
Make sure
paradox.
we know what we're talking about.
Grandfather paradox. The grandfather paradox is a theoretical time travel paradox that describes what happens if someone travels back in time and kills their grandfather.
Okay, good.
If the grandfather is killed, then the time traveler would not have been born. If the time traveler was not born, then they could not have traveled back in time to kill their grandfather. If the grandfather was not killed, then the time traveler would have been born and could have traveled back in time to kill their grandfather. So it's like some circular thing that doesn't really work.
Oh, that like it contradicts itself.
Yeah. And then one resolution to the paradox is there's no such thing as free will. Everything is determined, or I guess we live in a deterministic universe. So that means everything that will and has happened is set in stone. And so if a time traveler does go back, there's no free will. They're just following the deterministic path that was set forth by them.
So you're saying a time traveler, it's not possible for a time traveler to go back in time to kill their grandfather because otherwise they wouldn't have been born. So even though they feel like, oh, I could pull the trigger, I could
Right.
not, but it's like you can't. You can't, and
can't.
like the answer is going to be you can't because otherwise you wouldn't have been able to be
Right.
there.
That's right. And
So you eliminate the paradox, but you also eliminate free will. What
Right, I
has
think you
what
have to-
has to happen. Otherwise, where you are now couldn't have happened.
That's right. But we don't see time travel in the universe, so still an open question, I guess.
Sure.
But in Tenet, when they're talking about the grandfather paradox, time inversion is possible. So it's possible you could invert yourself, go back in time, kill your grandfather.
Right.
And the future people who made the tech believe that the grandfather paradox is not a problem.
Sure.
Um,
I mean, I guess that's possible because all of our interpretations of the grandfather paradox assumes forward time. But if you
Right.
could actually have forward time exist, but also negative time exist, if you could like freely switch between the two, then stuff that happened may still happen,
right, yeah.
even though
That
you
would be-
undo it.
I guess the other resolution is the many worlds, which he kind of talks about.
Okay.
Should we look at many worlds? Let's see what he says here real quick.
And now mean it never happened. But we stopped them.
Optimistically, I'd say that's right.
Pessimistically?
In a parallel worlds theory, we can't know the relationship between consciousness and multiple realities.
I'm not sure what he means there, but if we go many worlds theory, sure. Many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics. The many worlds interpretation is an interpretation of quantum mechanics that asserts that the universal wave function is objectively real, and there is no wave function collapse. This implies that all possible outcomes of quantum measurements are physically realized in some world or universe. So I guess this is the picture here. The universe is coming in as one film strip when an experiment happens, and say it has an A or B choice. A goes into a new universe, and B goes into another universe. So this looks like the cat survives universe, and this is the cat dies universe. And so the world is always branching into new universes. And so that
I see. So when we are here in our universe, which we think is singular, and we have free will, we have choices between A and B, and do I want a salad or what, or burrito, whatever. Right? But what we're saying is that in a many worlds theory, a many worlds approach to the universe, you can't tell the difference between should I have a burrito or should I have a salad. You just do one, and then there's another universe where you did the other.
Yeah, exactly. And so all possible realities are existing somewhere in whatever that's called. They all exist. And so...
Alex.
What's that?
Oh, I very quietly said my name. I named this place, this multiple universe reality after me.
Oh, it's the
Good
semi-stable
listening
universe. Hey, it's the semi-stable universe. Hey. I don't know. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think the many worlds interpretation resolves the paradox, because you still have to restrict yourself. The universe still has to restrict itself to possible timelines. There can't be contradictory timelines within the many worlds interpretation.
Oh, well, there's just a many world there's an alternative world that allows it.
But there can't be a timeline where you go back and kill your grandfather, because
in that universe it's allowed.
I guess that would have to be new physics,
it's axiomatically
right?
allowed. It just is because it is.
So, I mean, does that mean in many worlds interpretation, not just does all universes exist that are consistent with our understanding of physics? It's like all universes exist, including the ones that are like a soup of chaos, because there's no rules. Okay, I'm not a many worlds theorist person, but I guess I would arrange them by their hierarchy of things that transfer and things that are plausible, and then like on the far extreme is there are no rules, like anything's anything, doesn't matter. Okay. Man, it's not only many worlds of the universe as we know it, it's many worlds of like physics rules as could possibly be.
That they break down, nothing makes sense anymore, like matter doesn't exist, like sure, I guess. Okay. Matter doesn't exist. What is this? Just this empty space. What
empty space. Well, hey, that's possible in the many worlds interpretation.
Okay, but there is this theory in physics called local gravity, where it's like the gravitational, I guess, all of the constants they're not universally the same. So if you're like, we look to the other side of the universe, their gravitational constant is some other thing, and so physics just behaves differently over there. Mm-hmm. I don't like it. I don't subscribe to that theory.
It sounds too much for me.
It breaks down everything. Anything can be anything. So this is a cool fight. 2 guys, 1 fight. Okay, so this is a fight between the protagonist, and the guy with the mask is inverted protagonist. And so cool. You can see the fight from different angles. Cool twist. Very nice. Like filmmaking. Is that the way to say this? Very nice filmmaking. The thing that doesn't make sense to me is, why is he shooting? Like the guy with the mask, which is protagonist inverted, he can see forward time protagonist's face. Like he knows he's fighting himself, and also this was in his past, so he knows he's fighting himself. Why is shooting, dude? That's lethal. That's dangerous.
That's right. So right here, this is inverted guy. He's shoots once, shoots twice. I guess that's it. We don't see them all. But like, he's the inverted protagonist who is fighting himself, fires a bullet into this glass.
What if you kill yourself in the past?
Was his gun, his finger was on the trigger, and he's like, I can't, I got jolted. It was unintentional?
I mean, I guess, but trigger discipline. Keep your booger hook out of the trigger.
I mean, yeah. And as the inverted guy, shouldn't he want to kick the gun away? He would want to throw the gun away from himself to show, like, hey, don't fight me.
Don't fight me, dude. Surprise, second gun. Pa, 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 pa.
So I understand why the non-inverted guy he was fighting for his life. He didn't know who this guy was. He felt like he had to defend himself. Mm-hmm. But inverted guy has all the information he needs. Mm-hmm. Why are you firing?
Why are you firing? I don't get it. He's got the knowledge and the training to not be firing.
Right.
Why is he firing? I don't get it.
Why is he firing? That didn't make sense. I mean, I see, look at his hand right here. He's fairly relaxed on the trigger. Okay, get that finger out of there. You don't want to shoot yourself. Yep. What a weird fight.
Cool though. Cool. Yeah, super cool twist.
Super cool.
You can see the fight from different angles.
Yeah.
Cool movie.
Oh, and look at the turnstile. It's significantly smaller here in the airport than the one that they encounter later. Look at this. It's like human-sized doorway.
Yeah.
The other one was like maybe 5 humans in width.
Right.
So there are different sizes. So
Okay.
there could be industrial size ones where they're like sending boats through.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Just pallets and pallets and pallets of MREs.
So Kat is on the boat with Andre, and she needs to keep him alive until they can do the stuff on the paintball arena match at the end of the movie. Kat gets super selfish. She shoots him early. What? I don't understand why.
Bad strategy.
And
all she needs to do is keep him alive, right?
All she has to do is keep him alive.
Why don't they give her like a tranquilizer gun?
That's right. It's bad equipment. Give her a
knock her out.
tranquilizer gun.
Knock
In
him out.
fact, that's the right move. Before he starts to understand who this Cat is she's been inverted a bunch of times. Once he starts to pick up on that, now he can fight back. But before that, she could just trank him, and then he can make no conscious decisions. So knock him out in that way. Why bring a lethal gun? You don't want to kill him. In fact, she should sacrifice herself to keep him alive because the universe is on the line.
Ah, that's right. So she prioritizes her revenge over the existence of everything.
That's right. Her feeling of revenge is more important than the existence of everything.
Gosh, including herself, like including her own existence and her ability to enjoy her revenge. Yeah, she prioritizes the right now revenge over that.
Right.
Brutal.
Which means she sacrificed her son's life
Yep.
for this feeling of revenge. Like, how bad is this? How bad is that?
Come on, lady.
Come on.
Get your motive. And she like goes for the kill. She like right in his chest.
She hits him like right in
she could have like
this
shot
area.
him in the arms and his
Same
legs or
here.
whatever. Yeah, right.
Right.
You can't like
It takes
push any buttons or I don't know.
Right. We're talking universe is on the line. Like, he has legs. Hit him in the legs. Hit him in the arm.
Mid legs. Yep.
At least attempt to keep him alive. Don't just shoot him in the center mass right here in the heart. What are you
In the
doing?
heart. Not even center mass. Center mass he would have been alive for a bit longer than just straight up heart.
Yeah. Like, hit him in the shoulder here. Lots of bones and stuff that's not... he won't die from it, probably.
That's right.
So selfish.
Cat lady.
That's right. And over here, we created some timelines. I think this is Kat's timeline.
I created this timeline because it was confusing to me what was happening, right?
It's still confusing to me. So I think this is Kat's timeline. Here's the boat event.
Okay.
And here she is coming in from the past. She's coming in from the past. She sees her future self, her self dive off the boat.
Oh, she was seeing herself dive off the boat?
Yeah.
Oh.
Self dive off the boat. Then she does the car chase, gets injured, goes through the turnstile, comes back through time, goes inverted, is somewhere else during the boat event. She's elsewhere. She has a conversation with the protagonist that she's going to go help keep Andre alive, inverts herself, and now she's on the boat. She dives off the boat, kills Andre, does all that. And then she continues on, and then here she is saved by protagonist at the school.
At the very end of the movie. Okay, yeah.
At the very end of the movie. I think that's Kat. And then for protagonist, I think he's coming in from the past. He goes to the airport, does the airport heist, and then he
befriends
does
the bad guy, so then gets on the boat.
Yeah, gets on the boat. Oh wait, gets on the boat. No. So the boat. This is. Let's see. So he's never
different boat time.
This is different. Yeah. This is a protagonist. He does the airport heist. Here's the car chase. The forward car chase. He inverts himself, then does the car chase backwards, and then decides to go back to the airport to invert himself to fight with himself.
Now they have the masks on. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he continues forward. He gets inverted again, and then he's on the big yellow boat
with all the military people.
Yeah. And then he does the temporal pincer movement, inverts himself, and then he goes to the future and saves Kat. So I think this is... I haven't looked at all the fan theories about how many inversions each character does and what their timelines are, but this is our best guess. Let us know in the comments. Please link some videos to fans who have thought this way through. I'll be interested in watching. And that's it. So I don't think we're going to get a Tenet sequel. So I guess we don't need to worry.
It is a challenging movie for me.
It's a challenging movie.
Yeah.
So how does planning in the temporal realm work?
That's interesting.
Because Neil said that protagonist was the one who had this temporal pincer event was planned by him at some point. But planning that would be just a giant mess, I think. It sounds...
It's like 4D chess.
yeah, literally 4D chess, yeah.
Times the fourth D.
How does the algorithm actually work? I don't think we can even venture a guess, because it's so far different than our physics understanding. Right?
And it requires that 3-piece stick to work.
That's right. And we don't have the legend or the key.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
And then this bothered me. So during the chase scene,
Mm-hmm.
some cars are traveling forward, some cars are going reverse. So here's protagonist going forward, and then there's the bad guy and Cat in an SUV, and they're going reverse. But how are they keeping up? Because you can't go that fast in reverse.
So I think, okay, so Andre is inverted because he's got the gas mask on.
Yep.
Protagonist is inverted because he has a gas mask on.
No, he does not have a gas mask on.
Oh, in this scene he does. Okay. Wait. No, he's in. Wait.
This is early. This is early in the movie before they.
Oh my gosh.
They go backwards. So when protagonist comes back, he'll be with the mask on. He'll be driving forward, or he'll be driving to the right in this picture.
I see.
This is early. Yeah.
Okay, so this is early on. So Andre is inverted. Cat is not inverted. Protagonist is not inverted.
Yep.
This car, I think, is inverted. So it's actually driving forward in reverse time, which when dialed backward to forward time is actually going backwards at 60 miles an hour. And then protagonist's car is moving forward in time at 60 miles an hour.
Okay.
Which means they're somehow coincident. One's going forward and backward.
Okay. So I'm
like this.
down. I'm down with the idea that if they're in a reverse car and they're driving to the right, but you run time backwards, it would look like they're going to the left.
Yeah.
Which in this case, because of the orientation of the car, is reverse.
It's reverse.
I don't understand how that actually, like, nuts and bolts, transmission, gear ratios, like gear meshing. Like, I don't understand. Like, how's the tire interacting with the floor?
So I think it can't make sense because in order for the vehicle to move forward, it needs to push on the ground with friction, and then the ground pushes the car forward. Well, if you're inverted, then friction's backwards.
Okay.
So friction is, instead of pushing off the ground and pushing the car forward, the friction is actually pulling the car forward.
Or in this case, pulling it backwards.
But in this case, it's that's right. In this case, it's pulling it backwards. So it's an inverted car. It's forward in time. It's moving this way to the left. So,
okay, I'm down with this. That makes a lot of sense. However, we've encountered a new problem, and so the new problem is all of our forces should be equal in magnitude, opposite directions. So if the car is being pulled backwards by friction, then it should be applying a forward force on the ground.
Yeah.
But the backward forces are for inverted objects, and the ground is not inverted. So which rule applies to the ground? Does it get inverted force on it? Because otherwise it seems like they both get net force in the same direction.
That's right. Because the ground... so we couldn't see the ground forces because the ground is connected to the earth. We can't see it. Yeah. But because we're talking with equal and opposite forces, in the reverse direction, they should be equal and opposite. In the forward direction, they should be equal and opposite. But when an inverted object interacts with a forward object, should it be like this? But then that...
So there's just reaction without...
Right.
No, there's just not even reaction. It's magic. It's magic. It's fine.
I think this is what the scientist lady said at the beginning, which was, don't think about it. Don't try to understand it. Just feel it.
Okay.
And I think this is where time travel starts to break down. Is like, it cannot make sense in the ways we understand it.
But this
for-
is not time travel. What we're talking about right now. This is
I'm using-
this inverted stuff.
Yeah. So it's okay. Yeah, I guess I'm using the word time travel to as a catch-all for any of this time stuff. But you're right. It's not time travel where I'm like going from future time, popping into the existence in the past time, like Terminator. I actually have to traverse time backwards to get to the past.
Time reversal stuff. Yeah, it's weird.
And I think you still run into the same issues of causality, exactly what we're talking about right now, in time reversal as you do get with time popping.
Hopping, yeah. Because if you go
Time
backwards
popping.
in time, things have happened before. The results of things has happened before the actual thing has happened.
Yeah. And I guess you could think of time reversal as instead of, so a pop would be like go from, 2020 to 1984 in Terminator. I don't remember the dates.
Sure.
But you could think of time reversal as a succession of tiny pops going backward in time, in which case they almost become the same thing.
Okay, doing some calculus here, yeah.
Doing some calculus. Take
Yeah.
the pop infinite and limit as pop goes to
A little
dot
minus
t goes
dt.
to- yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So it may end up reducing to almost the same problem.
I hate it.
But-
I hate it.
Yeah, I think if we analyze this further, we would find even more physics problems that would just be irresolvable. I think. Yeah.
Which is reasonable because all of our physics is based off of forward time.
Yep.
Not bad.
And that's
Join us
our
next time for
review-
another. Join us next time for another time travel movie.
Yeah, that's actually right. Yeah.
But the next one's
See you
dope.
next time.
The next one's so good. See you next time.